wanted to make a video about eschatology, the study of the end of all things, or the end times, or latter days, depending on how you prefer it to be translated. And it's spurred on by this video on Yishai Flesher's channel, where these two ex-Muslims are talking about the end times, basically, and Judgment Day and that sort of thing. Look, the Creator doesn't need time to reach a certain deadline or for conditions to be reached in order for him to judge you at any point during your existence. He doesn't need conditions met in order to end your existence. He doesn't need conditions met in order to remove you from this world, either to a higher state or to a more shameful one, or to no existence whatsoever. So I really don't understand the urgency or the hurry to rush towards Judgment Day when people have been looking forward to Judgment Day for thousands of years now, and it doesn't seem to be happening as a universal event. Yet people are in such a hurry for it. They're in such a hurry for the events leading up to a messianic era. They're just all in a hurry just for everything to get wrapped up, the whole story to get wrapped up, so that they can, I guess, reach their ultimate eternal state. Well, that's going to happen anyway, and it's probably going to happen a lot sooner than you think. When you read in the Tanakh early, especially in the 5 books of Moses, you don't see a lot of this eschatological thinking that seems to have become more common, even prevalent, during the Hellenistic period, and possibly even sooner, maybe with the Zoroastrian religion, with its dualistic thinking, with the Prince of Light and Prince of Darkness. It's just not there. This is an example of Gentiles taking mundane Hebrew concepts and capitalizing on them, blowing them out of proportion. So here at the blueletterbible.org, which is just it's a Bible study resource. It's put out by a Christian ministry or organization of some kind, but it doesn't matter because you can use it to arrive at the real truth, that actually contradicts typical Christian thinking, because it has numerous Bible translations. If you're not able to read the original Hebrew, it has an interlinear Bible, so you could see word for word translation. It has both a Hebrew and a Greek concordance. All of this is integrated together. There's no more, going from one large tome or book to another, trying to make some kind of connection, because with hyperlinks it makes the connections for you. There are lexicons at your fingertips, commentaries, cross-references, etc. Mostly I do word studies here to see how a word is used in the original language. So here in the King James Version we have this term latter days. That's where the Mormon denomination gets part of its name. But it's what do we have? 25 occurrences in 12 verses in the King James Version where it occurs. And people have made a big thing out of this because those grappling with the King James Version live in a post-eschatological worldview, if you can't say that the eschatological worldview is still prevalent enough that they're still living in an era where the eschatological worldview has a pretty firm grip on them, despite the fact that it's been thousands of years since this way of thinking came along. But if we look at this, if you look at these passages, they're describing things that aren't necessarily happening in an end time scenario, but just later on in Israel's history, because Israel has a pretty long history in comparison to, for example, the United States of America. And unless you know your Bible well enough, and maybe know a little Jewish history too, you may not pick up on the fact that some of these things that are being mentioned here actually already came to pass even before Christianity came along. So it's helpful to know that. But if we look at the word, mostly I'm focusing on this word acharit in Hebrew, because the other part of it, yom or yomim, it can mean days or times. But the translation acharit is better translated. Here it's 12 times translated latter and 31 times end in the King James Version, but it's really better translated later, because it's talking about later days, later times, that these things will happen in later times. This is the Hebrew's way of saying in the future. Okay, so in the future this could happen, you know, in the future this will probably happen, or this will happen in the future, because they don't appear to have a word in Hebrew that is one word that means future, unless it's this word later, acharit. So it's like we would say in English, later on, this is going to happen. It's not a big deal, but you get these Gentiles who are not familiar with the text, and it's really strange because Gentiles will take metaphorical or abstract things and make them literal, and then literal concepts they'll make them metaphorical. So they're basically flipping the plain meaning of the text and cooking up a new religion out of it. So if we look at these verses, and this in the Revised Standard Version, so you can get a better idea what I'm talking about. Genesis 49, then Jacob called his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the days to come. The days to come. Now here's a case where it looks like, or at least the way it's translated, it does express finality. It says, who can count the dust of Jacob or number the fourth part of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous, and let my end be like his. But you could also say, let my future be like his. It could have been translated that way. And now this one, they retained the King James Version. They said its way of expressing it. Now behold, I'm going to my people. Come, I will let you know what this people will do to your people in the latter days. That's an eschatological translation. They didn't need to say that. All they needed to say was, I will let you know what this people will do to your people in the future. And here again it's translated latter days. But you can go through these verses yourself, do a word study, and you'll see that this really just means later. And it's because these translators and these commentators live in this post-eschatological era that they translate these things to be like, you know, some impending great big event that's supposed to happen. Whereas originally, living according to Torah was a day after day thing, which it still is in Judaism, because although Judaism still holds to the idea of the Messiah, of an eschatological Messiah, and a messianic era, practically they continue to live Torah day after day.